Welcome back to your Daily Dose. My name is Robert, and I'm here with my friend Maria, Dr. De Leon, and she was telling the
I'm
story of
Maria.
her grandmother and caring for her, a true crash course in Parkinson's at a very intimate level. And so now you have your own young family, and grandmother has passed away, and you were going to go forward to what, about a decade later? How long was it until you were diagnosed?
Well, shortly after my grandmother passed away, I really started noticing my symptoms. I had had
Oh.
some symptoms. Well, about 3 years before I started noticing them myself. I noticed I had had a back surgery because I tried to lift a patient and herniated a disc. And so I ended up with, back surgery at a young age. And I noticed during the recovery that my pinky, was twitching. And I remember the first thought I said, Michael J. Fox did this. And I thought, I'm 30, 2 years old, 33 years old. It's like, I can't have Parkinson's. Even I was like,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
looked at my pinky and I was like, I'm taking this, pain pills and I'm like, what is going on? Um, so of course you don't want to think about that, grandma, still taking care of grandmother, have, a grandchild, I mean, a daughter and all these things going on, building a practice. So I didn't have time for that. And so move forward, grandma passes away and I really started noticing, much more slowness and stiffness. And during my examination of my patients, the typical UPDRS, open and close your hand, tap fast, walk in tandem. All of a sudden, I was having problems doing this. I'm
Wow.
like looking at my hand, going like, I'm not as fast as I used to be, and I'm having trouble opening and closing. And the worst part, I really built my office because I had a lot of Parkinson's patients. There's a lot here in East Texas. They call it the Texas Belt. There's a lot of Parkinson's, and so I built my office, with Parkinson's patients in mind. Following little pathways so they can navigate easy. A lot of bars, a lot of handles. I was the one using them because now I was the one that was unsteady. I was falling, I was tripping, and I was like, what is going on with me? And then of course, I was 36 at the time. And so I started saying, oh my God, I think I have Parkinson's. I mean, just look at all these things. And I think I'm 36, but God. And but then everybody was like, oh, you just miss your grandmother, you just depressed, you just passed away, you've been working a lot, you've been stressed. And I was like, I don't think that's it. I think I recognize this Parkinson's symptoms. I've been doing this for a while. I have a lot of patients. But what was unusual is that I started to have a lot of pain in my leg and in my ankle. And at
Hmm.
first I thought it was due from, I had had that herniated disc and it was on that side. So I thought, oh, so I went back to the neurosurgeon. I said, it's just, it didn't look like it, but I said, that's the only thing I could think of being so young and everything. But the pain just got worse and it kind of, ascended to the entire body on that left side. And then I started having a lot of dystonia on that foot
Hmm.
and rest tremors. My toes were just going. I kept every time, I wore my shoes or I could just feeling my something, clicking in my toes and rubbing against my shoe. And sure enough, I had the rest tremors on that side. I said, I have I have Parkinson's, and I couldn't
So
believe it.
were you sure first, or where did you go for it? I'm guessing you got a
Well,
second opinion.
again, so the problem was that I was sure that I had Parkinson's symptoms. Okay, but
Okay.
what happened is that one, I was young, obviously, and two, I had so much pain. I had a lot of pain, and I also noticed I started having visual problems. I was having trouble driving in at nighttime because I could not judge distances, and I almost got into a few car wrecks in the middle of the night when I was on call trying to go to the hospital because I really could not judge how far the cars were. And I kept going to the doctor and kept saying, your vision is perfect. You have no problems. I'm like, I'm almost being run over because I can't see. And then I started noticing that I started having more visual problems during the daytime where I could not park between two cars. I had this visual field loss, and I tried to park in my garage, and every time I thought I was perfectly center, try to open the door, and I was against the wall, and I could not get out. So obviously it was something very severe. And meantime, all the eye doctors keep saying your vision is fine, and I'm thinking, okay, what is going on? So of course, again, my training, there was no real vision problems related to Parkinson's at the time, 17 years ago. There was no pain related to Parkinson's, at the time. And of course, being young, that's an unusual thing, but so I kept thinking, well, pain, vision, and I have this Parkinson's symptoms. So of course, like all my training, I was like, do I have MS? Do I have this? Do I have that? And so ended up seeing, a whole host of doctors trying to
Well,
figure out.
right. Let me ask you, because what this might be part of your medical training going into this, and obviously you have a very active and intelligent mind. Um, how much of this was you having to let go of here's what I think and let others say what they
Yes,
think?
and it's funny because I often tease now that had I listened to my own self, I would have gotten the diagnosis a lot sooner because I would have treated, you know. But I try to be a good patient and went to all these doctors, and even though I kept saying, "Well, what about Parkinson's? I think I have Parkinson's," and they're like, "Oh no, you can't have Parkinson's. You're too young. You have vision problems. You have
Okay.
pain." And I
Okay.
kept saying, "Well, let's just try the medicine," and they're like, "No, no, no." So
So, okay, I want to come back to the next episode
yeah.
because you said something very important, and actually, I heard this similarly from a gentleman who's on the panel with you, Eric Aquino,
Yeah,
who that had a story, and you two are not the first I've heard. You can't have Parkinson's. I want to come back to that because this is part of a larger thing I want to talk about with you, which is rebranding Parkinson's, a
right.
really important concept. So let's come back in the next episode. We're going to talk about you can't have Parkinson's and rebranding. See you in a minute.